The iPhone 15 is finally here, and we had a ton of accurate leaks. However, out of the 10 leaks we were super excited about, some didn't make it to these phones, ranging from small ones to really big and disappointing ones. Let's go ahead and cover those. Number 1. First, let's talk about the price. Many people thought that new titanium phones would be $100 to $200 more expensive. But it turns out that the iPhone 15 Pro still costs $999, just like the previous one, even though it has the same amount of storage. The Pro Max is $100 more expensive, but it comes with more storage. So it's basically the same price, especially for those who bought the one with more storage before. In some countries, the iPhone 15 Pros are actually cheaper than the iPhone 14 Pros because of the exchange rate, and people are happy about that. The number 2 represents Thunderbolt, which is a super fast way to connect things. We were excited about getting this lightning fast connection in the iPhone, especially since we used to have a slower one. But now we have USB Type-C, which is also pretty fast, but not as fast as Thunderbolt. Even though it's way faster than the older iPhones, it's still not as quick as Thunderbolt. We heard a lot of rumors about this before, and you might be wondering if those rumors were wrong. Well, I don't think so. Sometimes we hear about these things more than a year before they actually happen. People might think it's for the next iPhone, just like when we heard about the Apple Watch Ultra a long time before it came out. Apple probably needs to make a special part for Thunderbolt to work on the iPhone. So I'm guessing we might see it in the iPhone 16 Ultra. Now, let's talk about point number 3, which is all about charging your phone quickly. We heard rumors that we'd be getting a faster 35-watt charging option, which is better than the 20-watt charging Apple usually offers. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and it seems like the charging speed is still the same as before. So in this aspect, Apple hasn't made any improvements, and that means iPhones are still not as fast to charge as some of the Android phones out there. Now, let's talk about the 4th thing. We didn't get those nice looking cables that match the colors, but we did get one cable that's braided like a robe, but it's just plain white. Also, this cable can only transfer data at a slower speed, so if you want it to be faster, you might need to get a better one. Number 5 is a bit disappointing. We heard that the iPhone 15s would have a much better battery, thanks to a bigger battery and a more efficient A17 chip. However, the battery specs Apple gave us are the same as last year's iPhone 14s. Normally, every year the battery life gets better, but this time, even with the A17 chip and no extra power-hungry features, like a brighter screen or the dynamic island from last year, the battery life hasn't improved. This is a cause for concern. Now, at number 6, let's talk about cameras. We got some details about the cameras and their sensors. It turns out that there will be a 13.4 megapixel ultra-wide sensor. The telephoto lens will have 12.7 megapixels, which means they have improved the sensors. But the iPhone 15 Pros and Max models still have the same ultra-wide sensor as last year. And the 15 Pro has kept the same 3x lens for 3 years now. Now, at number 7, let's talk about the iPhone 15 Pro Max camera. We were hoping it would have a special camera with different levels of zoom, but it doesn't. This is disappointing, because having that kind of camera would have been really cool. I used a Sony phone with a zoom like that before, and it was great, because the picture quality stayed good even when you zoomed in a lot. But on the Pro Max, if you zoom in less than 5 times, it's not using a special zoom camera. Instead, it's just cropping the picture from the regular camera like the iPhone 15 does. So, if you're taking a picture between 3 times and 5 times zoom on the iPhone 15 Pro, it might actually look better on the Pro Max, where the new zoom camera only works at 5 times zoom. Also, Apple did not show us any portrait mod pictures taken with the new 5 times zoom camera. So, it's possible that you can't use it for portrait photos, and it might just be using the regular camera with cropping. And even if you can use it, it might be tricky, because 120mm is pretty far away. Even with a 3 times zoom, I often had to step back to get a good shot. So, I'm thinking I might choose the regular 15 Pro this year, depending on how well it performs in real-life tests. So, stay tuned for updates. Number 8 is about A17 performance. The A16 was better than the A15 by 10%, and it had a 20% stronger CPU and 30% better GPU. The new A17 Pro is a bit better with a 10% CPU boost and a 20% GPU boost. But most of the GPU improvement comes from an extra core. But guess what? The Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 coming out next month will probably be even better at graphics. How can that be? Well, we heard that the A17 Pro will run at 3.7 GHz while the A16 ran on 3.46. So it will perform better, maybe around 7628 for Geekbench and much better for graphics. This year's improvement is smaller than usual. Why? The A17 Pro is made using a tough-to-make process called N3B. But next year, they'll use N3E, which is easier and cheaper. It won't perform as well, so it seems Apple might be limiting the A17 Pro's performance on purpose to make next year's chip look better. We'll have to see the real clock speeds and test it to be sure, but it would be disappointing if the A17 Pro is actually good. But Apple is holding it back artificially. At number 9, the iPhone 15 Pro was supposed to have a really pretty red titanium color, but that didn't happen. We also didn't get the gold color that I like. The colors they have now are pretty similar, which might not make some people happy. Now, let's talk about the colors of the regular iPhone 15. We don't have white, but we do have green. The colors this year are more toned down, which might not be everyone's favorite, but I personally like them. Also, the backbone of the phone has a special matte finish that doesn't show fingerprints, which is great. What do you think about the new colors? And now, for the last piece of news, remember that exciting rumor we heard a while ago about the volume buttons becoming one big touch-sensitive button? Well, that did not happen, and people talked about it for a while. Also, the Ultra version of the phone we were looking forward to didn't come out. It's still called the Pro Max. I think we know why these things didn't happen. I believe Apple is saving these changes for the iPhone 16 Pro or 16 Ultra. Many of the leaks we talked about will probably happen next year, which suggests there will be a big improvement compared to what we got this year. But I'm curious to know your thoughts on the iPhone 15, 15 Pro, and the Max model. Do you think these are good upgrades or not, in your opinion? Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Stay tuned for more exciting tech videos. See you in the next one.